On behalf of IGNCA and MM, I'm thankful to all the dignitaries, the audience, the researchers who have come for 3 days national seminar on identification of unpublished manuscripts. I welcome wholeheartedly to all the scholars and all the dignitaries. I request our dignitaries and the guests on the dais to please come on the stage for Deep Prajwalan, the auspicious lighting of the lamp, and the Manglacharan. I request Professor Bharat Gupta sir, please come on the stage, sir. I request Professor Lokesh Chandera sir, please sir. I request Professor Praful Kumar Mishra sir, please sir come on the stage. I request Professor Nirmala Sharma ma'am. I request my colleague Shri Ramavata Sharma ji to come on the stage for the Manglacharan also, and Avat Kishore ji. It's an honor that all the esteemed scholastic personalities in the field of manuscript studies are present among us. I request Professor Abdul Haq sir to please come on the stage for.
Hari Om Chandrama Manaso Jatas Chakshoho Suryo Ajayata Srotradvayuscha Pranascha Mukha Dagnirajayata Om Pavakanaya Saraswati Vaje Virva Jina Ivati Yajyam Vastu Auhova Dhiyava
गणनाथ सरस्वती रवि शुक्र बृहस्पतीन् पंचैतान् संस्मरन् नित्यं वेदवाणीं प्रवर्तयेत् हरिः ॐ पावकानः सारस्वती वाजे भिर्वाजिनीवति जज्यं वष्टुधिया वासुः ॐ शांति शांति शांति.
Thank you so much, Shri Ramata Sharma ji and Avat Kishore ji, for such a spiritual and sacred recitation of the verses. Now I request my colleague Lata ma'am to please proceed for the next session. Lata ma'am, please.
Namaskar everyone. We are very thankful to all of you for being a part of our annual day celebration. Now I would request our director sir to facilitate the guests. Okay sir. Felicitate the guests.
I request Minu ma'am to felicitate our guest ma'am. Professor Nirmala Sharma ma'am. सबसे पहले कौन है? मैं आपसे समझ लूँगा, आप बैठिए, मैं आ रहा हूँ। आप बैठिए, मैं आ रहा हूँ। At the outset, I request our Director, National Mission of Manuscripts, for his welcome address and the annual report. Please, sir. Please.
मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातम् अहं वन्दे परमानंद माधवम्. I hearty welcome to all the dignitaries, especially with us we have a very eminent, excellent, wonderful, dynamic scholar Lokesh Chandera ji. I cannot believe that he is here, because when we started this program we are thinking finally he is on the stage. So we are very, very extremely happy. Welcome to you, sir. Then we have a senior trustee member, Bharat Gupta ji. So I welcome him also. And we have previous director and vice chancellor, Professor Praful Kumar Mishra ji. And also we have a Shakti Nirmala ji. She is with us. So we are extremely happy, and all the audience. And as Lokesh Chandra ji want to know what exactly we are doing, we are working on identification of unpublished manuscripts. It is really a challenge work, because we don't have any kind of database of published or unpublished. So just we are trying to find out little bit about the unpublished work or manuscripts from different scholars. So far we have completed the Ayurveda session and also Jyotish and Maithili. So these 3 sections we have completed, and tomorrow also we have Maithili collection. So in 20 years ago, under the visionary leadership, the poet and politician statesman, Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, this idea of NMM was born. recognizing and remembering that manuscript was the part of our national heritage was a great reawakening. Our ancestors have left us behind the great legacy of knowledge in the form of this treasure, and now more than ever we know that knowledge truly is power. These manuscripts informed and awakened the world of our glory in the past when they were read and translated across the Silk Route. They also enrich those who ruled over us for a better portion in the last millennia. Now again, they will play a vital role in capitulating to our rightful place of the world stage as Vishwaguru. A lot of original work has been done in these 2 decades. A lot more remains to be done ahead. The technical aspects of translation, editing, digitization, etc. change many things, but a genuine impact will be felt at the level of our culture only when we begin to value what we have at the household as a community levels. We must physically preserve what has been left to us, preserve in spirit, by understanding, learning, and sharing the essence of this wisdom folios in the form of manuscript. Every household should know the value of this. Then we should awaken to a Ghar Ghar Pothi movement. If we fail to value what we have, then the other will exploit it for their benefit. Look at now or how the West is churning out the good content based on the wisdom of our ancestors while we are busy imitating worthless modern trends. We should create a robust scholastic platform and train the generation of new scholars as the Lipi Mitras. In all the university level, MRC level, all the districts, at least we should have one Lipi Mitra, or we can say Pandu Lipi Mitra. He can help us in many respects. Lastly, looking back our 2 decades, we see that the great ideas began auspiciously and need to be nurtured. Like children, we see our first 5 years in NMM, like a children. Then there is a self-awareness and reality in the next 10 years. So that is the teen age, 15 years. Now the time has become responsible adults. Now NM as an adult. So, to contribute meaningfully to both our country and the humanity as a whole, I invite you all my scholars, please join hand with the NMM in the next 20 years and inspire and committed manner. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving an idea about the NMM past, present, future, and hopefully we all work on that. And under the able guidance and leadership of our member secretary and the director and the dean and all the HODs, we hope that we will achieve our landmark. Now I request Professor Professor P.K. Mishra, sir, to address the audience. Professor P.K. Mishra is a renowned scholar of Sanskrit and Sahitya, and he served as a director of NMM, former director of NMM, and he was the former Vice Chancellor of North Odisha University. And I request Professor P.K. Mishra, sir, to address the audience.
Ambodhan Chikurachalena Tapanam Sinduravindu Pade Piyusham Jyutibimbhamananamishat Jatsana Shailendram Kuchakaitavad Balikula Vyajat Bhantir Nadi Dardhangaya Shivasya Vishwanidhe Mula Prakriti Namaha. Namasavai. Esteemed President of this meeting, Professor Anirban Das Mahabhag, the Director of National Mission for Manuscript, Professor Gupta ji, the esteemed chief guest, a doyen of Buddhism and Buddhist iconography, Professor Lokesh Chandera, a legendary figure to our good fortune, and Madam N. Sharma, also a Buddhist scholar, and dear friends present here, galaxy of scholars on Indology, on manuscriptology, and my dear friends, brothers and sisters of National Manuscript Mission, and students from different parts joined here on the manuscriptology, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it gives me immense pleasure to be here after a long interval, so to say, after 14. Officially, I came after 14 when I left this institute to join as North Odisha University, and it was a peculiar job in which I could not give attention. And again I am driven away to Agriculture University to look after agriculture in Pusha. And now I am doing Veda, the Maharishi Sandipani Rashtriya Veda Vidya Pratishthan, so all the diversified works. But when I come back and listen to my friends in manuscriptology, so it warrants me like homecoming, because that is my cup of tea for which I have struggled a lot during my career. Friends, working on manuscript is not a profession, but it is a passion. Because our Vakankarji is here, my esteemed friend, and Ganeshan is here, all our good friends, Jhaji and all, both Jhaji and Mishraji, all are here, and young people are here. You see, people are here for get the matter, ready-made matter for PhD. So they go for Kalidas ki kavita mein nari, नहीं तो कालिदास की कविता में ब्रह्मचारी. So people are doing PhD on these useless topics, time and again, repeats it again and again. But to work on a manuscript is a Herculean task, because you know those who are working. On the other day, Ratna Basu was telling how the scholars has to run from pillar to post to get back the copy of a manuscript. Even though we have so many database, Namami, so on and so forth, all the descriptive catalogs, Catalogus Catalogorum, New Catalogus Catalogorum, and India Peace Catalogorum, and all the Saraswati Bhavan, Saraswati Mahal of Tanjore, Sampunananda, all these catalogs are there. Yet, what is the manuscript? If you search the manuscript to read, the iota of the seminar which is related by our director is actually verify and disambiguate. So the disambiguation is very, very difficult, because the person who are in possession of the manuscripts, they have no obligation to part with to the scholars. And if you go to a museum, as for example, when I was a director here, I visited National Archives. Time and again I visited and came back with an empty hand to see the Gilgit manuscripts. Why? They say, oh, today there is no key, because the person who is in charge of that is on leave. The next day I went, because it is adjacent to our building. So then I went there. Sir, we cannot give it to you. The manuscript is not shown to anybody, because I am the director of a National Manuscript Mission, and you can show to me. Then say, all right, we will show you. But today people are in somewhere, they are in lunch break will be there. You come sometimes after. 6 months I was time and again visited National Archives and could not be successful in looking to the manuscript. This is not the case with National Archives. It is with all the museums and archives where you are searching manuscript. And in the museum, you see, when you go and search the manuscript, they are full of dust. Full of dust, and immediately the waters will flow like a Ganges, Ganga, Jamuna. Like they will flow from your nose because of the dust around. So I have consulted 33 manuscripts when I was doing my work. That's why my examiner, who was from Toronto, Professor Wader, suggested me to go to Oxford to decipher certain manuscripts kept there, about 100 something, 114 or 15 like that. So similarly, it is a passion with me, and so also with our friends who are working in National Manuscript Mission, because they could serve elsewhere and get easy money. But getting connected with the manuscript means we are serious about our tradition, which is handed down through ages. That's why we are searching. I was individually, why I got attracted, because I was doing some works on Vishwanath Kaviraj and others. So I wanted to know where are the other works. Because Vishwanath Kaviraj has 12 works enumerated in his references. So I searched everywhere. That's why I have visited, because at that time there was no such internet facilities and nothing like that. Even if that is available, I have to search everywhere. So in this connection, I have traveled the whole of the European countries and to search the manuscripts, which is kept in very good condition, of course. Better than the condition in which we keep our manuscripts in our country, in our houses, so on and so forth. So, this is an occasion that our scholars have gathered, that we are going to dig the Himalayan-like mountain and find some of the rats inside the whole of the Himalayan mountain. Where is the rat? What is the significant manuscript? So, in order to disambiguate from the similar and the same titles, one has to go and make thorough. As the other day, one of our scholar was telling, we did something on Paka text of crockery. One has to search relentlessly, so that out of ocean of information in the internet, we have to see. When I was working on Gita Govinda, So there are so many information, 2100 manuscripts. But are they all relevant for me? Because they are all, some are half written, some are worm eaten. So I have eliminated them, and some of the works which are in the similar title, same title, are all irrelevant to me. And only the manuscript which has commentary is only valued by me. Similarly, there are many texts in Tantra, in Dharma Shastra, in our country, because Dharma Shastra is even today, it is in practice, Jyotisha is in practice, and Professor Narang of Delhi University, he was doing a Padanukrama Kosa of 1600 kavyas, and he could not finish that work, 3 lakh slips, because there was no computer at that time. Here, in this connection, the descriptive catalogue is also misleading many times, which I have suffered a lot on the manuscript of Kedi Rahasya I have telling you yesterday. And regarding the scripts also, our students are not aware of it. I was thinking at that time to make a special award, a scholarship for those students who will do PhD. This is my suggestion, of course. Who will do PhD on unpublished manuscript must be supported by this National Manuscript Mission. Secondly, the Manuscript Act, which was long before prepared, the draft was prepared long before, which was not implemented due to some goddamn reason, must be implemented. One act should be done to preserve, and the authority should be given to the National Manuscript Mission, so that students could get access easily through Manuscript Mission. So there are many dimensions of thinking on this line, and publication is most important. If students have edited those books, rare books, they need to be published, otherwise it is of no use. That which was Madam was telling about that students are collecting with lots of wears and tears. They have published, they have edited, critical edition is made. But if they are not properly published, no scope is there. Of course, National Manuscript has some money to publish them. Whether they will be successful to publish or not, that is a different issue. With these words, I congratulate you all, the director, to make a brainstorming seminar and celebrate the annual day with lots of sincerity and devotion, for which God must shower blessings on him and you all to work this national work, because the national work is God's work. Thank you all. Vande Mataram. Bharat Mata ki Jai.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind and enlightening words. Now I invite Professor Bharat Gupta to preside over the session. Professor Gupta is a well-known name in the field of art and Hindi studies. He is the executive member of IGNCA Trust. He is an classicist, theatre theorist, including Greek theatre, a Surbahar player, a musicologist, and he is also a retired professor from Delhi University.
श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। परम आदरणीय डॉक्टर प्रोफेसर लोकेश चंद्र जी, मुझे असीम हर्ष है कि आज आपके दर्शन हो रहे हैं और इस सभागार में सबको शुभाशीर्वाद देने के लिए आप विराजमान हैं। आपके जीवन भर की साधना और आपके पिता का इतना बड़ा कार्य उस सब पांडुलिपियों के ही इर्द गिर्द रहा है। तो एक असीम शक्ति के रूप में आप यहाँ विराजित हैं, ये हमारा सौभाग्य है और हम सब ये आशा करते हैं कि अच्छे दिन आएंगे मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स के लिए भी। बहुत सी चीज़ों के लिए आ रहे हैं, हम सबको प्रसन्नता है, आने ही चाहिए जीवन के हर पक्ष के लिए भारत भूमि पर। लेकिन जब तक कि जो विचार है, जो वांग्मय में संकलित है और जो काल जयी है, सैकड़ों हजारों साल से रहा है हमारे पास, जब तक उसकी ओर हम मुड़कर देखते नहीं कि क्या पीछे रह गया, तो तब तक जीवन में परिवर्तन नहीं होता, तब तक अच्छे दिन नहीं आते। बहुत सारी चीज़ें हुई विकास की, कम ज़्यादा, लेकिन पांडुलिपियाँ एक ऐसी चीज़ है जिसकी ओर देखना तो दूर, जिसकी इतनी उपेक्षा हुई कि शायद आज़ाद भारत में न जानते हुए भी कितने पांडुलिपियाँ इधर से उधर हो गई या जला दी गई या जल प्रवाह हो गया। ये चीज़ मैंने स्वयं देखी है। हमारे परिवार की वंशावली थी 1000 वर्ष पुरानी, जो हमारे पुरोहित, कुल पुरोहित रखते थे। अब जब उनको आश्रय संश्रय बंद हो गया तो वो भी गायब हो गया। मैं उनसे लेकर अपने पास रख नहीं सकता था क्योंकि वो उनकी पैतृक संपत्ति थी और वो उसका संरक्षण नहीं कर सकते। एक छोटा सा उदाहरण, यानी एक छोटा सा, और जिसको कहते हैं अंग्रेजी में कहें इनसिग्निफिकेंट, लेकिन जितना नाश हुआ है हमारी संपदा का, लिखित संपदा का, और इस भ्रम में कि भारत तो एक ओरल कल्चर, यहाँ तो मौखिक परंपरा है ज्ञान की, ये सर्वथा भ्रम है। यहाँ तो लिखित परंपरा है। सबसे प्राचीन लेख भारत में ही मिलते हैं, हड़प्पा की सील यहीं मिलती है, उससे पुराना और क्या है। तो पांडुलिपियों को जब तक अब सचमुच ये मानकर कि एक नया युग आ सकता है ज्ञान का, क्योंकि आपको क्या पता कौन कौन से अभी भी पांडुलिपियां हैं जिनमें किस किस प्रकार के, किस किस काल के ग्रंथ हैं जो टूटी हुई कड़ियों को जोड़ सकते। जो साहित्य के इतने सैकड़ों ग्रंथ हैं जिनका केवल नाम हमें मिलता है, व्याख्याएं जिनका नाम मिलता है, लेकिन वो व्याख्याएं नहीं मिलती, वो ग्रंथ नहीं मिलते। कल को वो मिलेंगे तो आपको क्या क्या नहीं मिलेगा। और आज विज्ञान का युग है तो बहुत सारे वैज्ञानिक विषयों के भी पांडुलिपियां अवश्य हमें मिलेंगी। एक बहुत अच्छा सुझाव प्रोफेसर मिश्रा ने दिया, ये बात मैं भी कहता आ रहा हूँ, और कोई वाइस चांसलर किसी विश्वविद्यालय के मिलते हैं तो उनसे हमेशा कहता हूँ कि आप अगर अंग्रेजी का विभाग होता है तो उसमें पीएचडी लिखवा देते हैं द हैट इन शेक्सपियर। शेक्सपियर ने कितने प्रकार के हैट्स थे, उस पर भी पीएचडी लोग लिख देते हैं। और इसी तरह से हिंदी में लिख देते हैं, नक्षिक वर्णन पर ही लिख देते हैं, किसी रीतिकाल पर लिख देते हैं। और अधिकांश पीएचडी होती है वो अब जब से कंप्यूटर आया है तो वो कट पेस्ट हो गई है। यानी इतना बड़ा प्रयास, इतनी शक्ति, युवा शक्ति, वो सब व्यर्थ जा रही है अगर वो पांडुलिपियों की ओर मोड़ी जाए। और ये कोई बहुत बड़ा काम नहीं है। तो उन लोगों को रोजी रोटी भी मिलेगी। संस्कृत पढ़ना, पाली पढ़ना, प्राकृत पढ़ना, अर्वाचीन भाषाएं पढ़ना, ये आजीविका का एक सम्माननीय विशिष्ट साधन भी हो जाएगा और ज्ञान का जो भंडार हमारे पास है वो खुलेगा भी। और बहुत से विषय हैं, हम सब जानते हैं कि मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स लिए भी जाते हैं, अभी भी चुराए जा रहे हैं, वो विदेश भी चले जाते हैं, वहाँ उनका संपादन होता है। ये सारी बहुत सारी बातें हैं, बहुत सारी बातें हैं कि कोई नेशनल एक्ट ऐसा बने कि जिसमें मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट को लिया जा सके और उसको पढ़ा जा सके, और जो व्यक्तिगत अधिकार हैं, ये सारी लीगल बातें हैं, उनमें जाने की आवश्यकता नहीं है, लेकिन संकल्प की आवश्यकता है कि मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट को रिट्रीव करना है। वो जो पड़ा है, और अब बहुत दिन पड़ा नहीं रहेगा क्योंकि वो तो वैसे ही टूट फूट जाता है, ये एक महत्वपूर्ण कार्य है। और मैं आशा करता हूँ कि मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स के भी अच्छे दिन आएंगे। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद सर, शुक्रिया सर आपके काइंड वर्ड्स के लिए, और इसमें आपके जो सुझाव हैं उसको हम कोशिश करेंगे कि हम इसको आगे बढ़ाएं। नाउ आई रिक्वेस्ट एंड इनवाइट प्रोफेसर निर्मला शर्मा, who is an art historian and renowned scholar of Buddhism across the Buddhist world, like Buddhist Cosmopolis, and she is the Deputy Director of International Academy of Indian Culture in New Delhi, and a Tagore National Fellow and Senior Fellow at American Institute of Indian Studies. Ma'am has also served at ICCR and Gandhi Center, Netherlands. Ma'am is also a trustee of IGNCA and ICCR. Ma'am, I request you to please present to paper. Thank you.
Professor Lokesh Chandera, Dr. Bharat Gupta ji, Praful Mishra ji, Director, National Manuscript Mission, Dr. Anirban Das ji, in the audience, a renowned professor, Professor Abdul Haq, scholars, colleagues and dear friends. First of all, I thank IGNCA, in fact, National Mission for Manuscripts, for inviting me to talk on this very special occasion when the National Mission for Manuscript is celebrating its 20th Foundation Day. From the inception in February 2003, I remember this day very well. I was in the institute, LD Institute of Indology, when this flyer came my way. Mentioning the establishment of the National Manuscript Mission. And I was so happy to understand its value. We have come a long way. By collecting these manuscripts, documenting them, conserving them, preserving them, digitizing them. What we need to do now is we need to tap the manuscripts. This is in the country. We need to tap the manuscripts that are available outside the country. I don't say that we have not done it. You may argue on the point, but very little work has been done. We have several manuscripts overseas that have to be collected, transliterated, and also translated. need to start, we need people for this, to translate and transliterate the book. We need a lot of people, and we have to begin right from the school, I believe. Passing on information to the young generation that's coming up to understand awareness of these manuscripts, the importance of these manuscripts, cultivate an interest in them, with the promise to, so that they take up this career in this particular field. And we must promise them of a placement with an attractive salary to top it all. The importance of these manuscripts unveils the history, unravels the history and the content and information it contains. Talking of the information, the importance of these manuscripts, let me give you one example. The Boer manuscript, which came into the hands of this officer, Boer, while he was working in Kucha. He was on a mission by the government of India in Kucha with a quest to look for a murderer. Kucha in those days was that principal oasis settlement that was on the eastern Turkestan. Which skirts the foot of the Tian Shan mountains, Tian Shan range of mountains, and the eastern edge of Taklamakan desert. The discovery, this Boer manuscript that comes from this Major General Boer's name, it comes because he discovered it, it has his name in it, is the solitary manuscript that was found in a stupa in Kumtura in eastern Turkestan. The discovery of this manuscript and its publication led to a whole modern movement in archaeological survey, in archaeological expedition to eastern Turkestan. Dr. Buller first published it, or saw this proceedings in the report of these proceedings in the Asiatic Society, in the proceedings of the Asiatic Society, and after this, that we come across the Russians who saw this manuscript. In fact, in the Russians Archaeological Society, Russian Archaeological Society, saw this report and the discovery of this manuscript, and they requested. They first put it in the they first published it in the early issue of the Vienna Oriental volume journal. This discovery of this manuscript created quite an uproar, And we see that there was a lot of ripples created because of this. And then the Russian Archaeological Society contacted Petrovsky to unravel and to find, and make an endeavor to find these manuscripts, several manuscripts treasured in Kashgar. The result was that Petrovsky collection is in the library of St. Petersburg. At the same time, in 1892, that we come across Weber manuscript. Weber manuscript comes after the name of Venerable Weber, who manuscript comes after the name of Weber, who was on a posting in on a mission in Leh. The government of India simultaneously issued instructions to several in Kashmir, in Kashgar, and in one more place, Ladakh, to collect these kind of manuscripts that are moving around everywhere, and collect these manuscripts, whatever comes their way, and secure it. Out of all these three collections that I've been talking about, the most important was the McCartney collection. McCartney collection, known behind the name of McCartney, who was a consul general in Kashgar, the British consul general in Kashgar. The discovery of this manuscript I mention here because it brought in, the result of the discovery of this manuscript brought one particular thing which you all are in fact aware of. It brought the first expedition to Turkestan by none other than Dr. Mark Orestein, who from 1900 to 1901 was on an expedition in Kashgar. The discoveries brought this result, and then later his published report in 1902, which is very famous, the Ancient Khotan, in 2 volumes. I give you this example to make you understand that the discovery of a single manuscript created such strong ripples all over. The value of a manuscript created such strong ripples all over the world. The Bover manuscript is published by Rudolf Horner. It occupied the scholar 21 years, a major portion of his lifetime. A lifetime of devotion, tension, and patient labor. The Bover manuscript is the earliest, the oldest manuscript that carries the medical treatise. The 3-day conference in IGNCA, my National Manuscript Mission, I'm sure will do justice to this 3-day seminar on and the deliberations that it will carry. I'm sure it will bring out it will be very fruitful. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your words. Now, I would like to invite our chief guest for the 20th Annual Day celebration, Professor Lokesh Chandra. Sorry. Professor Lokesh Chandra is a well-known historian and a renowned scholar of Tibetan, Mongolian, Sino-Japanese and Buddhist studies. He has served as a member of Indian Parliament. In 2006, Sir was recognized with the Padma Bhushan Award. Sir, please come.
Friends, collection of manuscripts is India's gift to the world. The first great collection of manuscripts was done in Navbahar by the Barmecides, taken over to the Arabs. Taken over by the Arabs to Spain. From Spain began the journey of the great manuscript tradition. What was till that time a pagan literature not to be read, began to be read with great emotion, with great dedication. Modern world emerged from the study of these manuscripts. Now let me go back to the great Barmecides. Navbihar was a very important center of Buddhism in India. It was called the small Rajagriha. In Rajagriha, most of the sutras were declared by Lord Buddha. So Rajagriha was the place from where Buddhist literature is supposed to have emanated. And the Japanese, about 30 years ago, wanted to put a set of the Lotus Sutras, or Dharma Pundarika Sutra, in 15 volumes, and put it there on the hill near Rajagriha. He and the Japanese professor and myself went to the Prime Minister, Srimati Indira Gandhi. But the government did not permit us to do that. But one thing is very clear, that when you call the Navvihar, the small Rajagriha, it had a tremendous role to play. Many commentaries were written in Navvihar. And Navvihar was the place which was destroyed by the Arabs. But then when the Umayyad dynasty came into power, they took these the abbots, the Balmakis, to their country, to what is now known as Baghdad. They made them ministers. And they asked one of the Barmecides that now we want to translate the vast literature you have brought. They took their manuscripts with them to Baghdad. So a special building was erected in Baghdad. The city was named Baghdad. Baghdad means it's a Persian transformation of the Sanskrit Bhagavata, given by Lord. So because sacred books, secular books were to be translated in this place, so it was given a very special name, Baghdad. And after some time, then one of the descendants of the other dynasty, which had been routed by the Umayyads, went to Spain. In Spain, he collected 4 lakhs of manuscripts in Greek. The Barmakis, though they lived in India in what is now known as Balkh, what is known as, Bactria in English, had a multiple tradition. It had the Indian tradition, a very rich Sanskrit tradition, a very rich Buddhist tradition, and at the same time a very vibrant Greek tradition, because Bactria was ruled for many centuries by Greek kings. So all these, when they started the translations in Baghdad, the problem of translation became very complex. It was not easy to translate the Sanskrit text sutras and also the Sanskrit stanzas. For example, they translated the Surya Siddhanta as hymn, but it could not make much sense in Arabic. So they started the translation with the suggestions of the Barmecides from Greek. So Greek became the foundation of the translation system. So these hundreds of manuscripts were translated under royal patronage by about 2 or 3 centuries, and they were being carried over by the Arabs to Spain. In Spain, when the Europeans saw that Cordova became a very important university, they were not only teaching religion, it was not only a theological school, but it had also the technical sciences. So when they saw these Arabic works, they said, oh, these are Greek texts, because they were Greek terminology. So they found that the original Greek texts had been translated into Arabic. So the Western scholarship, the Western academia, started the collection of Greek manuscripts in Europe. And the collection went on for a few centuries. In the 15th century, during the Renaissance, they started reading these pagan texts. Why? Because they were beyond religion. Sometimes they contradicted religion. So when they were reading these in Renaissance, all the modern sciences were found in the Greek text. For example, the theory of evolution of man from animal, is found in a Greek text of the 6th century. The classification, library classification is found there. Trigonometry is found in Greece in the 3rd century BC. So they had about 100 different scientific subjects translated from Greek into Latin, the language at that language of learning at that time. And in the Renaissance, all these texts became the foundation of modern science. So the manuscripts are the mother of modern science. And India, the Barmecides, the Arabs, the Europeans, we have all participated in giving the world something created something out of the manuscript tradition. Once I was in London attending a lecture on Indian mathematics, Hindu mathematics. And the British speaker, he said in the Kerala tradition of mathematics, there are 8 steps in the European tradition. There are 4 steps in the Kerala tradition. So if you use the Kerala tradition of mathematical calculation, you will have twice the speed of the machines operating. So Kerala mathematics is a very important part of the Indian tradition. It has not been studied, manuscripts have not been published, they have not been translated, unfortunately. The mathematical tradition in India was at least 6 centuries ahead of the European tradition, 6 centuries ahead even of the Arabic tradition. And in Arabic, much of the work in mathematics, early works, they are translations from Sanskrit. So the manuscripts, have played a dynamic role in the march of humanity. It's not just studying something past, it is studying something. How things have evolved. When we start research, we have to understand what was there before and what is now. In Europe, when they start speaking of time, they begin with the concept of time in Greece and come down to modern time, to Cambridge. So, even in India we should do that, because our concept of time is very different from the Western concept. Kala and Samaya. Kala is creativity, sankalana. And Samaya is passing away, the flow of time. Important why in quantum physics. He faced this question today. And when I became the president of the ICCR, the first letter that came to me was about the quantum physics and the role and the Buddhist concept of shunyata. The Buddhist concept of shunyata has to be studied in depth. Otherwise, we cannot solve how the question raised by quantum physics. Problem in quantum physics is they believe in a monotheistic thought system, a monistic thought system. In India, we have the dualistic thought system. Sadasat chaham, I am both Sat and Asat. So in quantum physics, the Shunya is also the Purna at the same time. But how to put it in mathematical terms is the question. So somebody has to do it. Now to do that, you have to study the Buddhist texts on Shunyata. Lots of them have been translated, but not all. They have to be translated. I do not know how many Buddhist texts there are in Sanskrit which deal with Shunyata. A very important question which is being raised in physics today. So when we speak of mathematics, manuscripts, we have to think not only of the historical tradition, but also the creative tradition which the manuscripts can, bring about. Because in the way how they think is also important. How do you conceptualize time is important. Not what is the concept, but the process of conceptualization. That is important. So, when we, for example, when I study a thing, my first problem is, what is the Rishi thinking? What is he doing? India doesn't have an absolute. The only country not to have an absolute, but a relative. And it has implications in physics, it has implications in philosophy, it has implications in defense strategy, the question of the absence of the absolute, the question of the primacy of the relative. I don't go into the details, but let me say one thing. That in India was always, people came to India from very ancient times for texts. China used to send every year scholars to India to get books. And in Chinese and dynastic annals, for example in the Song period, they have every year people came to get Sanskrit manuscripts with special instructions that the manuscript should be written on palm leaves. What has been translated into English as bundled books, because Grantha is something tied, Pustaka is something covered. Namaste in the Rig Veda. Dual number mean the two boards in which a book is kept. But Grantha is something which is tied Rajbanti. So the whole idea of manuscript first is and for example, we have manuscripts in Orissa on naval warfare. Important idea because while researching on Chinese naval history, the Chinese say that Indians had ships which carried 800 soldiers in one ship. They were covered with the skin of the rhinoceros, something like the modern, submarines. And now to have 800 soldiers on a ship living there for, let us say, about 10 days, 16 days, is something just we investigated. How can we do it unless we publish those manuscripts in Orissa? Orissa is the only area where manuscripts on shipping and on naval warfare are to be found. There are too many things in India. For example, Manjushri Mulkalpa. We need a good relation. Why? Because it gives our relation with the entire world, what is now is the Islamic world, the crescent, the area of the crescent. A very interesting work, very difficult to interpret, because the readings published by Ganpati Shastri are not correct when we compare them with the Tibetan and Chinese translations. That has to be published. So there are certain manuscripts which are crucially important, not only for historical reasons, but also for contemporary reasons. The Turks, for example, they have just recently the Turkish people have been suffering in a big way. The Turks, they want in 1935, 10th October 1935, what our Turks said, we will purify our language. Sir Denison Ross said, if you have to purify the Turkish language, you will have to read the Buddhist texts in Turkish, because there are about 30 to 40,000 fragments of Turkish texts, and the oldest Turkish texts are all Buddhist, except one or two inscriptions. And the largest Turkish collection of Turkish literature was in Tibet in the Sakya monastery, about 100,000 pages of the Kanjur, translated into Turkish, old Turkish, what we know as Uyghur. So, the whole manuscript tradition is a fantastic phenomenon, where many nations have come together to share, and which have also, there are still treasures that can condition the future of human life. Thank you, friend.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर. Thank you so much, sir, for the keynote address, and we have learned a lot from you, sir. We are still learning, and we will learn in the future with your expertise. And today evening, amongst us, we have august presence of Professor Emeritus Professor Abdul Haq, sir, who has just received on 25th January and the lifetime Maulana Abul Kalam Azad National Award. So we, sir, congratulate you on behalf of IGNCA and NMM. We, sir, wholeheartedly, sir, we are very happy that for this landmark, sir, and from the team of NMM IGNCA, sir, बहुत बहुत आपको सर मुबारकबाद हो, sir. All team NMM and others to join for the photo session. It would be great if the staffs of NMM can come forward, please. It's a memorable time for us because Professor Lokesh Chandera is here, and और सभी लोगों की बात पता होगी. मैं बताना चाहूँगा कि प्रोफेसर लोकेश चंद्रा सर के सुपरविजन में 108 वॉल्यूम्स मंगोलियन कंजूर का जो रिप्रिंट हुआ है, वो मंगोलिया की डिफरेंट मोनेस्ट्रीज में गिफ्ट किया जा चुका है. उसके अलावा रशिया की बहुत सी मोनेस्ट्री में दिया गया है. ये एक बड़ा काम है जो कि हमारे प्रोफेसर लोकेश चंद्रा के निगरानी में हुआ. हम उसे शुक्रगुजार हैं. थैंक यू सर.
आप लोग भी ऊपर चले जाइएगा. बोल तो दिया मैंने.
यहाँ से ऊपर भेज दो पीछे. यहाँ से
आप लोग भी ऊपर शिफ्ट हो जाइएगा.
ऊपर चले जाइए.
आप 3 लोग लास्ट.
आप भी हम लोग आ रहे हैं. जी ऊपर चले जाइए.
मैम इधर आ जाइए.
Yes. Yes. ओके थैंक